So, guys, just making a video of this so that anyone who's absent won't miss out on this content. So, equations with negative numbers. So, these are unusual and so not common, but they do definitely exist. So, when you think of negative numbers, we're talking about numbers that are less than 0, and we show that with a negative and then the number. Try to think about numbers with like a thermometer, like temperature. So when you have 0 and then you're going into the negatives, let's say we take off 5 from 0, that would be -5. If I then take more away from that, I'm getting further into the negatives. So let's say I have 0 minus 5 is -5, -5. And then taking 3 more away from that would make it -8 further down. If I then plus things to it, it will then get closer back to 0. Yep.
Would we able to say -8?
-8 and -8 would mean the same thing in that context. We're going to do heaps more of negative integers, negative numbers in the next couple of weeks. But I just wanted to make sure that if you've got a negative number as an answer to an equation, it's unusual, so it's worth checking, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong. Okay? So let's do a couple of examples so you know what I'm talking about. These questions are from 10F in your textbook, and they're question 7. And it says here, solve the following equations algebraically, so that means our standard way of solving them. Note, answers to these questions are negative numbers. Now, it won't always tell you that the answers are negative numbers, but in this case it does, so that's handy. Okay, so here I've got, let's say, we'll do 7b. So the equation is 2 outside of k plus 3 equals 0. So write down the equation first of all. And then we still use our same method of solving the equations using our backtracking and inverse operations. So here I do have 2 choices, so I could expand the brackets if I wanted to, or I could just remove the 2 first and deal with my k plus 2. If you can, that is a little faster, so we'll do it that way today. And that's only because we've got one number out the front and the rest of the stuff is in brackets. That's why that method works. So I'm going to divide my 2 across, so that leaves me with k plus 3 on this side, 0 divided by 2. That equals 0. So if I have nothing, I can't divide it, so it just remains 0. Now I'm going to subtract my 3 across, and now I've got k by itself, and 0 take away 3 is -3. Okay, does it make sense? I'll just do one more question of this for the video and then I'll go through. Yeah. Okay, let's do one of those. Good question. So Xander said, what if I've got to multiply a negative number or something? Okay, so my second equation is an example of that. I've got 6 outside of p minus 2 equals -18. Go over that in black so it's a little clearer.
Would that be?
Okay, so as I said, we do go into this heaps more in the rest of this term. But if I have a negative number, let's say I've got -18, and for this equation I'm going to remove the 6 from here and divide it because it's times in there. So let's just do that working first, sorry. So p minus 2 equals -18 divided by 6. Okay, if I've got -18 and I split those into 6 different groups, which is what this is talking about, it's going to be -3. Yeah. Okay, so I've got p minus 2 equals -3. Yeah, you could expand the brackets, but you still get the same answer. Yeah. You could definitely do that if you want to. Yeah, that's fine. And now I plus over. So like I mentioned before, if I have -3 and I plus 2, I add 2 things to that -3, I'm still going to be at -1. Yeah, so if I'm like -3 or -3 on a thermometer and it increases degrees by 2 degrees, I'm moving warmer closer to 0, but it's still in this case going to be -1. How does that sound? Xander?
Is another way to do it like just remove like the negative altogether and then just like add the negative at the end? Like, because if that wasn't a -18, you'd still get minus the end.
I think that's not wrong, but it's a dangerous thing to do because in an exam when you rush, you might forget to add on the negative at the end. So I would just always try to keep the number as it is during my working. Sam? Monday's the exams on Monday. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, do you need another one or is that fine?
No, it's fine.
Okay, good. If you do need more, question 7 in 10F.